Hello friends! Over the past 10 years, humanity has made an enormous leap in technological development. Achievements that just 20 years ago seemed like science fiction. People have created quantum computers, developed a vaccine against malaria, launched a space telescope to study exoplanets, sent private spacecraft into orbit, and integrated autopilot systems into cars. The entire 20th and early 21st centuries have been filled with discoveries and accomplishments. Alongside these advancements, car technology and design have also evolved. Active and passive safety systems have improved significantly, yet we continued to rely on internal combustion engines as if we couldn't come up with anything else. But that's not true. As far back as the late 19th century, people were already successfully installing electric motors on scooters. Then everything changed. Today, few doubt that the future belongs to electric vehicles. They are not only more environmentally friendly, but also surpass internal combustion engine cars in many ways. When people talk about electric cars, they often immediately think of Tesla and Elon Musk. And for good reason. Tesla vehicles have firmly established themselves in the market and gained massive popularity. Why? First, they offer an impressive range, up to 450 kilometers. Second, Teslas produce zero carbon emissions, which helps protect the environment. Their performance is equally impressive. The new Tesla Model S Plaid accelerates from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2 seconds, with a top speed of 322 kilometers per hour. Compared to gasoline-powered cars, they are in a league of their own. Stylish design, cutting-edge technology, and an innovative interior make them even more appealing. In short, Tesla is Tesla, and that says it all. But many people still wonder, where did it all begin? How was the first Tesla model created, and what does Elon Musk have to do with it? Why did Tesla become a pioneer? Why didn't anyone else do something similar before? These are the questions we'll answer in this video. The history of electric vehicles began long before Tesla appeared. Believe it or not, electric cars were already driving the streets of the United States in the early 20th century. According to the Washington Post, in 1901, about 38% of all cars in the United States were electric, 40% were steam-powered, and only 20% ran on gasoline. At that time, the streets of major cities were being cleared of tons of horse manure that came with horse-drawn carriages. Gasoline cars were considered dirty and difficult to operate. Interestingly, the electric car trend in the United States was popularized by high-ranking individuals. The first to use an electric vehicle was Helen Taft, wife of the 27th U.S. President William Howard Taft, and her choice sparked a real boom in electric car sales. There is a belief that Henry Ford's wife, Clara, also kept an electric car in her garage. At the time, companies producing electric vehicles, including names like Baker Motor Vehicle, Milburn Wagon, and Anderson Electric Car Company, were predicted to have a brilliant future in the global automobile market. But as we now know, unfortunately, those dreams were never destined to come true. The era of electric cars was ended by a single automobile, the legendary Model T from Henry Ford. Thanks to its low price and simple construction, it quickly pushed electric cars into the background and eventually erased them from history for nearly a century. For example, by 1908, Ford's car cost around $650, whereas an electric vehicle with similar features cost anywhere from $1,000 to $1,750. The decisive blow to the development of electric vehicles came from the Texas oil boom. At that time, the United States saw a surge in cheap fuel availability. Gas stations began to appear all over the country, even in rural areas where access to electricity was limited. As a result, by the 1930s, electric vehicles had virtually disappeared from the face of the earth. Some speak of conspiracy theories, claiming that powerful forces of the time profited from oil extraction, earning billions, while car manufacturers simply adapted to market realities. Be that as it may, the story of Tesla, often called the company of the future, began back in the 1990s, nearly 100 years after the appearance of the first electric vehicles. Its origins are tied to a fateful meeting between a young engineer and entrepreneur, Martin Eberhard, and a talented computer technology developer, Marc Tarpenning. Both were young and had spent their formative years in Silicon Valley, witnessing incredible technological breakthroughs. Yet they were complete opposites. Marc, calm, thoughtful, and reserved. Martin, charismatic, emotional, and sociable. People say their partnership was unmatched. Their collaboration started with simple consulting work for portable energy device manufacturers. Both understood that the time was right to harness the power of technological progress and turn their experience into something new. This led to the creation of their first joint company, Nuvo Media. In just 1 year, the partners brought the young company, which produced portable ebook readers, to a whole new level. And another year later, later, they received a tempting offer in the 9-digit range and sold Nuvo Media without hesitation, setting their sights on a new, ambitious goal. However, this period of triumph became a time of personal hardship for Martin. His wife left him, and the divorce hit him hard, something he had to deal with on his own. I thought I should do what every guy does after a divorce: buy a sports car and start dating a model, Eberhard shared in an interview with Business Insider in 2014. But he couldn't bring himself to buy a car that burned a gallon of fuel every 17 miles, especially while wars were raging in the Middle East and the evidence for global warming was becoming increasingly undeniable. Some might say he wasn't thinking straight, but it's exactly people like that who change the world. Martin threw himself into calculations, creating his own spreadsheet to compare and analyze different energy consumption options and study available batteries. He spent an entire year on this research, and the results surprised even him. In the race for energy efficiency, the clear winner was the electric car. Wanting to dive deeper, Martin contacted AC Propulsion, a manufacturer of electric vehicles whose lineup included a sporty electric car called the T0, of which only 3 units had ever been built. After a test drive, Martin was thrilled with the vehicle, but its price tag of $220,000 made it clear that mass production was out of the question. Thanks to his passion for electric vehicles, Martin received an exciting offer from AC Propulsion and joined the company as one of its developers. In just 6 months, he radically reworked the vehicle's internals, replacing the lead-acid batteries with lithium-ion cells similar to those used in laptops. This upgrade allowed the car to reach a top speed of 480 kilometers per hour with a weight of only 230 kilograms. Martin dreamed of building his own car and even suggested to AC Propulsion's management that they develop a production version of the T0, but his hopes were crushed when they turned him down. That same evening, he packed his things and left the company. What happened next? Martin began creating his own company. For those who don't know, Tesla was officially incorporated on July 1st, 2003. The company's name refers to Nikola Tesla, whose design of the AC induction motor Martin and Marc planned to use in their vehicles. The partners opened their first small office in the heart of Menlo Park, California. Over the next year, they worked not only on building their own electric car, but also on crafting a compelling business pitch to attract investors, without whose support the company would not have survived. The first car the partners worked on was based on the Elise model from the British race car manufacturer Lotus. Some elements were borrowed from the Zero, and the key requirements for the new vehicle were environmental friendliness, affordability, and acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.9 seconds. Another important criterion was the complete absence of exhaust emissions. It was clear that producing such a car would require significant funding. Through their own efforts, they managed to raise several $1,000,000, but it was just a drop in the ocean. They needed to explore new avenues. One day, Eberhard remembered how, at the Mars Society conference in 2001, he and Tarpenning had met the keynote speaker, Elon Musk, who by then was already a co-founder of PayPal. They knew that in 2002, Musk had sold PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion. Elon was already a wealthy entrepreneur, having founded a company developing spacecraft and rockets for Mars colonization. As a supporter of innovation and cutting-edge technology, he was the perfect candidate for collaboration. Martin and Marc reached out to him and offered him the role of lead investor in their young and ambitious company. Musk enthusiastically agreed to hear their pitch and, after the very first meeting, decided to invest in Tesla, becoming chairman of the board of Eberhard and Tarpenning's company. According to Business Insider, the first investment round amounted to $7.5 million. We should also mention the biography of Elon Musk himself, since Tesla is so often associated with him. Elon was born on June 28, 1971, and grew up in Pretoria, South Africa, in the family of engineer Errol Musk and his wife Model Maya Musk. His parents named him after his great-grandfather, John Elon Haldeman, who was born in 1872. The Haldemans, of Swiss-German origin, had immigrated from Europe to New York during the American Revolutionary War, and later settled across the Midwest. In 1948, Elon's grandfather, Joshua Norman Haldeman, married a Canadian dance teacher, Winifred Josephine Fletcher. That same year, they had twin daughters, Kay and May, the latter of whom would become Elon's mother. Interestingly, Elon's grandfather was a passionate aviator and often traveled across North America with his family in his own single-engine plane. It was that thirst for adventure that led the family to leave Canada and move to South Africa in 1950. There, at the age of 15, May enrolled in modeling school, began walking the runway, appearing in magazines, and even became a finalist in the Miss South Africa pageant. May and her future husband, Elon Musk, Elon's father, grew up in the same neighborhood. After that, Errol worked as a construction engineer while May built a career as a practicing dietitian. Shortly after Elon was born, the family welcomed his younger brother Kimball and younger sister Tosca. Interestingly, Elon was different from other children from a very young age. His parents couldn't quite explain where he got it from, but the fact remained. Little Elon loved to read, had a photographic memory, and after reading through 2 full sets of encyclopedias, he became a true know-it-all. However, this did not win him many friends among his classmates. At school, he was often teased and even beaten up, and at the age of 9, he had to recover from a broken nose. But the challenges for young Elon didn't end there. Soon after, his parents divorced, and May moved with the children to Durban. A few years later, Elon decided to live with his father, and Kimball later joined him. Errol was a strict and demanding man, which made life with him difficult. Still, Elon learned a lot from his father. He would go with him to work, help lay bricks, install plumbing, and run electrical wiring. At one point, young Elon even thought he might want to become a builder. But everything changed when, at the age of 9, his father gave him his first computer, the Commodore VIC. As you might have guessed, Elon's thirst for knowledge helped him quickly master this complex device. So quickly, in fact, that at 11 years old, he begged his father for a programming book and studied it cover to cover in just half a month. Soon he taught himself how to code. Fast forwarding a bit, at the age of 12, Elon sold his first program, a simple Space Invader style video game called Blaster, in which the player shot at aliens using a laser cannon. It earned him $500. But the most interesting part is how Elon used that first money. If you think he spent it on toys or candy, you'd be mistaken. He invested the entire sum into shares of a pharmaceutical company he had been tracking through newspapers. When Elon turned 16, he sold those shares for several $1,000s, and despite his parents' objections, moved to Canada to continue his education. At first, he lived with relatives in the city of Kingston, in the province of Ontario, and later enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, where he studied from 1989 to 1991. He then transferred to the University of Pennsylvania to study business and physics. There he earned bachelor's degrees in both economics and physics. However, Elon had no intention of stopping there. In 1995, he enrolled at Stanford University to pursue a PhD in applied physics and material science. But his admission coincided with the beginning of the internet boom, and after just 2 days, he left Stanford to launch his first company, Zip2 Corporation, which developed software for news media companies. By 1999, Zip2 was sold for $307 million, and Elon received a 7% share of the deal, amounting to $22 million. At that time, he was only 28 years old, and this young man could have easily retired for life. But as we know, he chose the path of progress and science. What followed were new challenges and milestones, which deserve a story of their own. Let's return to the point when Elon, already a billionaire, decided to support Marc and Martin in their ambitious endeavor. The task that lay before Tarpenning and Eberhard seemed nearly impossible. They needed to create an electric car that would prove to the world that EVs weren't just for golf courses, but for everyday life. At the same time, neither of them had any deep ties to the automotive industry or knowledge of how to mass-produce cars. They were literally building an electric vehicle from scratch. Every problem slowed the process, which caused Tesla's presentation deadlines to be pushed back again and again. The first car, Zero Star, was developed at a factory that had once belonged to Toyota and General Motors. The electric sports car was unveiled only 5 years after the company's founding, in May 2006. The model, called Roadster 1, attracted around $40 million in investments from venture capital firms and Silicon Valley business angels, including Google co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Initially, Tesla was positioned as a car maker for a narrow audience, those who could afford it and supported eco-friendly ideals. However, once it became clear that the vehicles were generating massive interest among investors, something that took the trio by surprise, a decision was made to take the company to a new level and begin working with advertising agencies. It's important to emphasize that the key role in Tesla's popularization belonged to Elon Musk himself. Many experts believe that if another wealthy individual had taken his place, Tesla Tesla might not have succeeded, investors lined up because Elon had already proven his ability to sell projects successfully, and everyone believed he had a knack for spotting promising startups. It seems that's exactly how things played out. On July 19th, 2006, the world saw the Zero Star for the very first time. Around 350 people were invited to the electric car's unveiling, including well-known politicians, movie stars, billionaires, entrepreneurs, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger himself, a passionate car enthusiast. The event's purpose wasn't just to showcase the car, but also to compile a list of the first 100 buyers. Guests were encouraged to bring their checkbooks, test drive the prototype, and purchase an exclusive version with a unique plaque signed by Eberhard, Tarpenning, and Musk, priced at $100,000. For influential people, $100,000 might seem insignificant, but the opportunity to become part of an elite club of first-generation electric car owners was something else entirely. However, after the presentation and a series of test drives, it became clear that the car was far from perfect. The company continued refining the Zero Star model, especially since, just 1 week after the event, 127 cars had been sold, all requiring fixes and improvements. This grand event, filled with celebrities, sparked regular public discussions about the company. Weekly articles and mini updates on Tesla's latest developments became the norm. Elon Musk also drew considerable media attention. Many portrayed him as merely an early investor, which greatly irritated him. In 2006, a conflict erupted between Musk and the company's founder, Eberhard. The issue was that Musk was the first and only investor who supported the founders and helped bring their project to life. Moreover, thanks to his name, the company attracted many additional investors. Without Musk, Tesla likely wouldn't be the company we know today, and he firmly believed he deserved much of the credit. He claimed that he had participated equally in developing the Zero Star concept alongside the original founders. Jumping ahead a bit, it's worth noting that Musk would later begin calling himself a co-founder of the company, something that caused confusion. Eberhard and Tarpenning, however, saw Musk only as an investor, and with new investors coming in thanks to him, they seemed to believe they could move forward without his involvement. But Elon had no intention of stepping aside quietly. This misunderstanding within Tesla's leadership led to a rift. Meanwhile, Eberhard and Tarpenning became fully immersed in improving their creation. As soon as the team finalized one feature, new suggestions for refining another emerged. The electric car's release was repeatedly delayed, and the company's staff kept growing. Managing operations at such a rapidly expanding enterprise became increasingly complicated. Eberhard could no longer handle all the managerial responsibilities while simultaneously working on the Zero Star. The need arose to find a new chief executive officer who could partially relieve Eberhard of his workload. However, the delays in the car's release were not solely the fault of the founders. Elon Musk shared some of the blame. He always had strong opinions about the design and style of the Zero Star, often suggested ideas for improvements, but rarely appeared in the office. As a result, his input often caused chaos and confusion. This led to constant disagreements between him and Eberhard, escalating into serious conflicts. In truth, Eberhard was indeed struggling with his responsibilities. The production of parts and components for the Zero Star was scattered across dozens of countries in Europe and Asia, and due to a lack of attention in choosing foreign partners, unclear accounting practices, and cost miscalculations, the car's production cost rose from the expected $85,000 to nearly $200,000. This ultimately led to Eberhard's resignation on August 8, 2007, at the insistence of Tesla's board of directors. Symbolically, the person who informed the founder about the board's decision over the phone was Elon Musk himself. A move that definitively settled the question of who was now in charge of the company. It's worth noting that Eberhard's departure from Tesla was far from peaceful. It ended in a legal dispute initiated by the founder, involving accusations of defamation by the leadership and conflicts over the size of his severance package. Meanwhile, Elon Musk became increasingly involved in Tesla's operations, and by that time, his management abilities were no longer in doubt. He had earned a reputation as a tough, sometimes aggressive, even tyrannical, but undeniably effective leader. Within 1 year, Musk had almost completely restructured Tesla's management system, significantly accelerating the company's progress. As the cherry on top, at the end of 2007, Marc Tarpenning also left the company, unable to accept Musk's new approach. Thus, Elon Musk became the central figure in Tesla. Fascinating, isn't it? I too used to naively think that Tesla was purely Musk's creation. But let's continue. Under Musk's new leadership, the company began to see rapid results, and soon the entire developed world was talking about Tesla. People awaited Tesla, people wanted Tesla, people dreamed about Tesla in the streets of their cities. In 2008, the company was finally ready to release its first electric vehicle. However, after reviewing the accounting, it was revealed that the car's development had cost $140 million. 5 times the original budget. On top of that, the global auto market was in decline. Major automakers around the world were declaring bankruptcy one after another. To save the company, Musk invested several more tens of millions of dollars from his personal fortune, and then officially took the position of Tesla's chief executive officer. Mass production of the Zero Star began in March 2008. The electric car could accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.6 seconds, and one full charge allowed it to drive for 350 kilometers non-stop. The Zero Star became the world's first electric vehicle that was entirely safe for the environment and ecological systems. Its prototype was the Tesla Model S, unveiled in 2009 at the Frankfurt Motor Show. The production version of the sports car launched in 2012 and could travel 426 kilometers on a single charge. One of its main features was the battery's full recharge time, with just 30 minutes. Prices for the Model S started at $75,000. In 2015, Tesla launched full-scale production of its first full-size crossover, the Tesla Model X, which could travel about 500 kilometers on a single charge. In 2017, the company introduced its most affordable model, the Tesla Model 3. The base version was priced under $35,000, making it comparable in cost to traditional internal combustion engine vehicles. The model was publicly unveiled on April 1st, 2016, with a prototype shown a year earlier. Within the first week of pre-orders, the car had been reserved by 325,000 people, a level of success unmatched by any other vehicle debut at the time. However, Elon Musk wasn't planning to limit himself to passenger cars. In 2017, he introduced the first electric truck, the Tesla Semi, which entered production a few years later. The Tesla Semi can drive 800 kilometers on a single charge. Without a load, it accelerates to 100 kilometers per hour in 5 seconds, and with a full load of 36 tons in 20 seconds. The full battery charge takes no more than 20 minutes. The first company to order 100 trucks for industrial use was PepsiCo. In March 2019, Tesla unveiled its first SUV, the 6th model in its lineup, the Model Y. It has a range of approximately 370 kilometers, accelerates to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.9 seconds, and reaches a top speed of 193 kilometers per hour. In its base configuration, the vehicle costs $39,000. Also in 2019, Tesla revealed the Tesla Cybertruck, and just a few days later, Elon Musk announced on Twitter that 200,000 people had already expressed interest in buying the new pickup, which entered production in 2022. Back in October 2016, the company had already announced that all Tesla electric vehicles would be equipped with hardware and technologies for autonomous driving. In other words, every Tesla would have autopilot capability. Just a few months later, Tesla vehicles were already outfitted with everything necessary for fully self-driving operation. 8 cameras, providing a full 360-degree view at a distance of up to 250 meters, are complemented by 12 upgraded ultrasonic sensors. The front radar can see through heavy rain and fog. All environmental data is collected by the onboard computer powered by artificial intelligence, which surpasses the average human driver in its capabilities. Nothing like this had existed before, and in this regard, Tesla once again outpaced all competitors. However, behind the company's beautiful success story lies some less attractive facts. Some sources claim that Tesla's actual net profit differs from what is reported in official documents. Over the years, Elon Musk has become famous for his sharp and often controversial statements on Twitter. On his account, he has been caught making promises that proved unrealistic, including scaling up production, achieving profitability, and buying back publicly traded shares to make Tesla a private company. The US Securities and Exchange Commission even accused the businessman of fraud and attempting to artificially inflate the company's stock price. Following a court settlement, Musk was removed from his position as chairman of the board, paid a $20 million fine, and was required to have his social media posts reviewed before publication. That said, such issues are not uncommon in large corporations, so there's nothing extraordinary about it. Yet some publicly available information about Tesla may still surprise many. For example, by the end of January 2021, the market capitalization of this electric vehicle giant exceeded $750 billion. In terms of market cap, Tesla entered the list of the 10 most valuable companies in the world, and in 2021, it became the #1 automaker, overtaking Japan's Toyota. By the end of October that same year, Tesla's capitalization crossed $1,300 billion for the first time. Previously, only 4 American companies had ever reached that milestone: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet, also known as Google. It's undeniable that Tesla's cars are becoming more desirable with each passing day. The company is expanding its global network of independent charging stations at a record pace. For those who don't know, in the United States, charging at these stations is completely free. Experts believe that soon all vehicles on Earth will be electric. Already, many manufacturers are announcing plans to abandon internal combustion engines in the near future. However, catching up with a leader like Tesla is never easy. During 2020, Tesla's stock rose by 720%. At the beginning of the following year, due to the continued rise in stock value, Elon Musk briefly became the richest person on the planet, surpassing Jeff Bezos. All in all, Tesla continues to grow rapidly and delight its customers even during the pandemic, serving as a prime example of a successful company with strong leadership. So that's it, friends. I think I've told you everything I wanted. Be sure to share in the comments what you personally think about Tesla and its cars. Elon Musk and his team would love to hear your opinion. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. See you soon and goodbye.